Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English in Minutes 2.0. I am Emma, your host for today. If you are new here, I would like to tell you that we upload a new English learning video every day on our channel to help you improve your English faster. In today's episode, we are going to practice real English conversations that you can use in everyday life. This is your Intermediate English Conversations Practice Masterclass, designed to help you improve your listening, speaking, vocabulary, pronunciation, and overall English fluency through natural and useful everyday English. Throughout today's lesson, we will explore many common situations that you may experience in real life, talking with friends, communicating at work, shopping, ordering food, making appointments, asking for help, solving everyday problems, traveling around the city, making plans, having casual conversations, expressing opinions, explaining situations, and much more. You will hear natural sentences, useful expressions, realistic conversation examples, and plenty of speaking practice that will help you understand how English is actually used in everyday situations. As an intermediate learner, you may already know a lot of English words and grammar, but sometimes it can still be difficult to understand natural conversations or respond quickly when someone speaks to you. That is exactly what we are going to work on today. Instead of memorizing isolated words, you will practice complete sentences, common expressions, natural responses, and conversation patterns that you can start using in your own life. I will also give you practice examples and speaking exercises throughout the lesson. Listen carefully to each example. Notice how the sentences are connected. Pay attention to the useful expressions, and whenever I ask you to practice, repeat the sentences aloud with me. The more actively you participate, the more natural your English will begin to feel. You do not need to understand every single word immediately. Focus on understanding the main idea first. Then listen to the sentence again, repeat it, and notice how native and fluent English speakers naturally organize their thoughts. With regular practice, you will become faster at understanding spoken English and much more confident when it is your turn to speak. By the end of this masterclass, you will have practiced a wide range of real-life conversations and useful expressions that can help you communicate more naturally and confidently in English. So whether you want to improve your English for work, travel, social situations, everyday communication, or simply become a more fluent speaker, stay with me and practice all the way through the lesson. Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon if you want more helpful English learning episodes like this. So, grab a pen and paper if you would like to take notes. Get comfortable, listen carefully, speak along with me, and let's get started. Let's begin with one of the most common situations in everyday life, having a simple conversation about your day. You may think this kind of conversation is easy, but it is actually one of the best ways to build real fluency. In everyday English, people often ask questions like, "How's your day going? What have you been up to? Did you have a busy morning?" Or, "How was work today?" These questions are simple, but your answer does not have to be only one or two words. Instead of saying, "Good," you can say, "It's been pretty good so far. I had a busy morning, but things have slowed down a little." Listen to that again. "It's been pretty good so far. I had a busy morning, but things have slowed down a little." This sounds more natural because you are giving the other person something they can respond to. Imagine that a coworker asks you, "How's your day going?" You might answer, "Not bad. I've been working on a few things since this morning, and I'm finally getting caught up." The phrase "getting caught up" is very useful. It means you are finishing work or responsibilities that had been waiting for you. For example, you can say, "I was behind on my emails, but I'm finally getting caught up." I had a lot of housework to do, but I'm almost caught up now. After being away for a few days, I need some time to catch up on everything. Try repeating this natural sentence. I'm finally getting caught up. Again, I'm finally getting caught up. Now, imagine someone asks, "What have you been up to lately?" This is a very common casual question. It means, "What have you been doing recently?" A natural answer could be, "Nothing too exciting. I've mostly been working, spending time with family, and trying to exercise more regularly." Notice the expression, "nothing too exciting." This is a relaxed and natural way to begin your answer when your life has been fairly normal. You can also say, "I've been pretty busy with work lately. I've been trying to get back into a routine," or "I've had a lot going on recently." The phrase, "I've had a lot going on," means that many things have been happening in your life, usually making you busy. Let's practice a short everyday exchange. Imagine that you run into a friend at a coffee shop. Your friend says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How have you been?" You answer, "I've been good. Just really busy lately. How about you?" Your friend says, "Same here. Work has been keeping me busy." You respond, "I know what you mean. It feels like there's always something that needs to be done." This is a realistic conversation because people often use phrases like, "Same here," and "I know what you mean." Same here means that your situation is similar to the other person's situation. "I know what you mean" shows that you understand or relate to what the other person is saying. Practice these responses aloud. Same here. I know what you mean. I've been really busy lately. It feels like there's always something that needs to be done. Try to say each sentence naturally instead of saying each individual word too carefully. In real conversation, fluency comes from connecting words and speaking in meaningful groups. Now, let's move into another everyday situation. Making plans with someone. Imagine a friend says, "Are you doing anything this weekend?" You could answer, "I don't have anything planned yet. Why?" This response is very useful because it keeps the conversation open. Your friend might say, "I was thinking about checking out that new restaurant downtown. Do you want to come?" You could respond, "Yeah, I'd be up for that. What time were you thinking?" The expression, "I'd be up for that," means I would be interested in doing that. It is casual, friendly, and very common in American English. Here is another example. Someone asks, "Do you want to grab lunch tomorrow?" Instead of always answering, "Yes," you can say, "Sure, that sounds good. I'd love to. Yeah, I'm free around noon," or "That works for me." If you cannot go, you can politely say, "I'd love to, but I already have plans. I don't think I can make it tomorrow," or "Tomorrow is a little difficult for me. How about Thursday instead?" Learning how to suggest another time is important because it helps the conversation continue naturally. Listen to this exchange. "Are you free after work?" "I should be. What did you have in mind?" "I thought we could get something to eat." "Sounds good." "I'm usually done around 5:30. "Perfect. I'll text you when I leave the office." "Great. See you then." Notice the question, "What did you have in mind?" It means, "What were you thinking about doing?" This is a very natural phrase when someone suggests making plans. Repeat after me. "What did you have in mind?" "That works for me." "I should be free after work." "I'll text you when I leave." "I don't think I can make it tomorrow." "How about Thursday instead?" These expressions are useful because they can be used in many situations, not just when meeting friends. Now, imagine that your plans suddenly change. Real conversations often involve explaining small problems. You might say, "I'm sorry, but something came up." The expression "something came up" means that something unexpected happened and changed your plans. For example, "I was supposed to meet Sarah for dinner, but something came up at work. I'm afraid I can't come tonight. Something came up. Can we reschedule? Something unexpected came up this afternoon. If you need to change the time, you could say, would it be okay if we met a little later? Your friend might answer, sure. What time works better for you? You could say, would 7:30 work? Your friend responds, yeah, that's fine. Just let me know if anything changes. This small conversation contains several expressions that are extremely useful for daily life. Would it be okay if? What time works better for you? Would 7:30 work? And just let me know if anything changes. Practice saying this whole conversation as if you were actually speaking to a friend. Would it be okay if we met a little later? Sure. What time works better for you? Would 7:30 work? Yeah, that's fine. Just let me know if anything changes. Try it once more. But this time, imagine the situation. Do not simply repeat sounds. Picture yourself looking at your phone and explaining that you are running late. This kind of mental connection can make phrases easier to remember. Another situation you will experience often is asking for clarification. Intermediate learners sometimes understand most of what another person says, but miss one word or one detail. You do not need to panic. Fluent communication does not mean understanding every word perfectly. It means knowing how to keep the conversation going. You can say, sorry, could you say that again? I didn't quite catch that. Could you speak a little more slowly? What do you mean by that? Or, just to make sure I understood, you mean we're meeting at 6, right? The phrase, I didn't quite catch that, is especially useful. Here, catch means understand or hear clearly. Imagine someone gives you an address quickly. You could say, sorry, I didn't quite catch the street name. Could you repeat it? That sounds polite and natural. If you understood the words but not the meaning, you could say, I'm not sure I understand what you mean. The other person may then explain the idea differently. Let's practice. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Again. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say that one more time? Could you speak a little more slowly? What exactly do you mean? Just to make sure I understood. These phrases can save you in hundreds of real conversations. You do not have to pretend that you understood something when you did not. Now, let's imagine a workplace conversation. A coworker tells you, the meeting has been moved to 3, and we need to send the updated report before then. If you are not completely sure, you can respond, okay, just to make sure I understood. The meeting is at 3, and the report needs to be sent before the meeting. Is that right? Your coworker says, exactly. This technique is called confirming information. It is useful at work, at school, during appointments, while traveling, and whenever details are important. Suppose your manager asks, how's the project coming along? A natural intermediate level answer could be, it's going well overall. I've finished most of the research, and I'm working on the final section now. I should have it ready by tomorrow afternoon. Notice how this answer is clear, but not unnecessarily complicated. You explain the current situation, what you have completed, what you are doing now, and when you expect to finish. If there is a problem, you might say, it's going pretty well, but I've run into a small issue with the data. Run into an issue means encounter or experience a problem. You could continue, I'm trying to figure it out now, but I may need some help. The phrase figure it out means understand or solve something. These phrases appear constantly in natural English. I ran into a problem. I'm trying to figure it out. Let me see if I can figure this out. We'll figure something out. Repeat these sentences. I've run into a small issue. I'm trying to figure it out. I may need some help. I should have it ready by tomorrow. Try connecting the words naturally. I should have it ready by tomorrow. One more time. I should have it ready by tomorrow. Now, think about conversations at home. Someone might ask, Did you get a chance to go to the grocery store? The phrase, did you get a chance to, is a natural way of asking whether someone was able to do something. You can use it in many situations. Did you get a chance to call the doctor? Did you get a chance to look at the email I sent you? Did you get a chance to finish the report? Did you get a chance to talk to your neighbor? Imagine this conversation. Did you get a chance to pick up some milk? Yeah, I stopped at the store on my way home. Great. Did you remember the bread? Actually, I completely forgot about it. That's okay, we still have a little left. I can get some tomorrow morning. This is the kind of simple but realistic English that you need for everyday communication. Notice the phrase, on my way home. You can change the last word depending on where you are going. I stopped for coffee on my way to work. I picked up dinner on my way home. Can you stop by the pharmacy on your way back? I'll call you on my way there. These short phrases help you describe your daily routine in a very natural way. Let's practice a few complete sentences. I stopped at the store on my way home. Can you pick up some coffee on your way back? I'll call you when I'm on my way. I completely forgot about it. Don't worry, we can get it tomorrow. Try saying them again without reading every word separately. Imagine that you are really talking to someone in your home. Now, let's look at an everyday problem that almost everyone experiences: being late. Maybe there is traffic, your bus is delayed, or something takes longer than expected. You can say, I'm running a little late. This is much more natural than saying, I will be late. If the delay is small, add a little. I'm running about 10 minutes late. Sorry, I'm running a few minutes late. Traffic is terrible, so I might be a little late. Imagine you are meeting a friend at a restaurant. You call and say, Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm running about 15 minutes late. Your friend says, No problem, I just got here. You say, Thanks. Traffic is moving really slowly. Your friend replies, Take your time, I'll get us a table. You respond, I appreciate it, I'll be there as soon as I can. Notice, I just wanted to let you know. This is another useful conversation pattern. It is a polite way to give someone information. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be working from home tomorrow. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be working from home tomorrow. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be working from home tomorrow. I just wanted to let you know that I might be a little late. Repeat after me. I just wanted to let you know. I'm running about 15 minutes late. Traffic is moving really slowly. Take your time. I'll be there as soon as I can. These are complete expressions that you can store in your memory as chunks. When you learn English in chunks, you do not have to build every sentence one word at a time. Let's do a short speaking exercise. I will describe a situation, and then I will give you a natural response that you can repeat. Imagine a friend asks you to meet for coffee on Saturday, but you are busy Saturday morning. A natural response is, I'd love to, but I'm busy in the morning. Would Saturday afternoon work for you? Repeat. I'd love to, but I'm busy in the morning. Would Saturday afternoon work for you? Now, imagine that a coworker tells you something very quickly and you do not understand the final detail. You can say, Sorry, I didn't quite catch the last part. Could you say it again? Repeat. Sorry, I didn't quite catch the last part. Could you say it again? Imagine that someone asks how your work is going. You have been busy, but you are making progress. You could say, It's been a busy week, but I'm making good progress. I should be finished by Friday. Repeat. It's been a busy week, but I'm making good progress. I should be finished by Friday. Now, imagine you are 10 minutes late to meet someone. Say, I'm sorry. I'm running about 10 minutes late. I'll be there as soon as I can. Repeat. I'm sorry. I'm running about 10 minutes late. I'll be there as soon as I can. These situations may seem simple, But this is exactly where real fluency develops. You become fluent by becoming comfortable with the language you need again and again. Instead of trying to memorize hundreds of difficult expressions, focus first on useful patterns that appear in your daily life. What did you have in mind? That works for me. Something came up. I didn't quite catch that. I'm trying to figure it out. Did you get a chance to? I'm running a little late. I just wanted to let you know. These phrases are flexible, natural, and easy to adapt to many conversations. Try saying them once more in a steady rhythm. What did you have in mind? That works for me. Something came up. I didn't quite catch that. I'm trying to figure it out. Did you get a chance to call them? I'm running a little late. I just wanted to let you know. Excellent. As you continue practicing, pay attention not only to what a sentence means, but also to when you would actually use it. The more clearly you connect English with real situations, the easier it becomes to recall the right words when you need them. Now, let's continue with another very common part of everyday English: shopping and asking for help in a store. Even if you know the name of the product you want, you may still need to ask where something is. Compare two options: ask about price, or explain that you are looking for something specific. A natural way to start is, "Excuse me, could you help me find something?" The employee might say, "Of course, what are you looking for?" You could answer, "I'm looking for a phone charger, but I'm not sure which aisle it's in." The employee may say, "They're in aisle 7, near the electronics section." You can respond, "Perfect, thank you, I appreciate your help." Notice how useful the phrase, "I'm looking for," is. You can use it in almost any store. I'm looking for a black jacket. I'm looking for a birthday gift for my sister. I'm looking for something comfortable to wear to work. I'm looking for a cheaper option. I'm looking for a charger that works with this phone. When you are not sure exactly what you want, you can describe the kind of thing you need instead of naming one specific product. Imagine you are shopping for shoes. You say, "Excuse me, do you have these in a larger size?" The employee answers, "What size do you need?" You say, "A size 10, if you have it." The employee says, "Let me check in the back." A few minutes later, the employee returns and says, "We have a size 10 in black, but not in brown." You could respond, "That's fine. Could I try the black pair?" This is a very natural exchange that you may hear in stores all the time. Let's practice the key sentences. Do you have these in a larger size? Do you have this in another color? Could I try this on? Where are the fitting rooms? I'm just looking, thank you. I'll think about it. The phrase, "I'm just looking," is especially useful when an employee asks if you need help, but you prefer to browse by yourself. Now, imagine that you are comparing two products. You might ask, "What's the difference between these two?" The employee might say, "This one is more expensive, but it has a longer warranty." You respond, "I see. Which one would you recommend?" The employee says, "If you plan to use it every day, I'd probably go with this one." The expression, "I'd go with," means, "I would choose." It is commonly used when giving recommendations. You could say, "I'd go with the blue one. I'd go with the larger size. I think I'd go with the cheaper option." Repeat. What's the difference between these two? Which one would you recommend? I think I'd go with this one. Does it come with a warranty? Can I return it if it doesn't work? These questions are practical and can help you handle many shopping situations confidently. Now, let's imagine that you bought something yesterday, but there is a problem with it. You walk into the store and say, "Hi, I bought this yesterday, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working properly." The employee asks, "Do you have the receipt?" You say, "Yes, I have it right here." The employee asks, "Would you like to exchange it or get a refund?" You respond, I'd prefer a refund, if possible. Notice how polite and calm this language sounds. You explain the problem directly without sounding aggressive. You could also say, I bought this shirt last week, but it doesn't fit quite right. Would it be possible to exchange it for a different size? Exchange it on, the phrase, doesn't fit quite right, means the size or shape is not comfortable or suitable. Another useful phrase is, it wasn't what I expected. For example, I ordered this online, but it wasn't what I expected. The color looks different from the picture. The size is smaller than I expected. Practice this exchange. Hi, I'd like to return this, please. Is there anything wrong with it? It works fine, but it wasn't what I expected. Do you have the receipt? Yes, here it is. Would you like a refund or an exchange? A refund would be great. Thank you. Try to say the whole conversation smoothly and naturally. Now, let's move to another situation you will probably use often. Ordering food at a restaurant. At an intermediate level, you want to move beyond simply saying the name of a dish. You should be able to ask questions, make small requests, and respond naturally to the server. Imagine the server says, Hi, are you ready to order? You could say, I think so. Could I get the grilled chicken sandwich with a side salad? The server asks, Would you like any dressing with the salad? You say, Yes. Could I get the dressing on the side? The server asks, Anything to drink? You answer, Just water for now, please. This is natural restaurant English. The phrase, could I get, is extremely common in American English when ordering, Could I get a coffee? Could I get the chicken tacos? Could I get that without onions? Could I get an extra plate? Could I get some more water? You can also say, I'll have. For example, I'll have the pasta. I'll have the soup and salad. I'll have the same thing. Now, imagine you have a question about the menu. You might say, What comes with the salmon? The server says, It comes with roasted vegetables and rice. You ask, Could I substitute the rice for mashed potatoes? The server says, Sure, that's no problem. The word substitute is useful in restaurants. But in casual conversation, you can also say, Could I have mashed potatoes instead of rice? That may feel easier and more natural for many learners. Listen to this example. Does this dish have any nuts in it? Yes. The sauce contains peanuts. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Could I get it without the sauce? Absolutely. This is useful if you have a food allergy or simply want to avoid an ingredient. Another useful question is this spicy? The server might answer, It has a little heat, but it's not too spicy. You could say, That sounds fine. Let's practice. Could I get this without onions? Could I have the sauce on the side? What comes with this dish? Is this spicy? Could I have something else instead of the fries? Could we get another glass of water? Try saying each one naturally. These sentences are useful because you can change only one or two words and use them in many situations. Now, imagine there is a small problem with your meal. Your food arrives, but it is cold. You do not need to sound angry. You can say, Excuse me, I'm sorry, but this is a little cold. Would you mind heating it up? The server might say, Of course, I'm sorry about that. You answer, No problem. Thank you. If you received the wrong order, you might say, I'm sorry, but I think this might be someone else's order. I ordered the chicken, not the steak. Notice the phrase, I think this might be. It makes your statement sound polite and less confrontational. I think this might be the wrong size. I think there might be a mistake on the bill. I think this might belong to someone else. This language is especially useful when you want to point out a problem politely. Now, Let's practice paying at a restaurant. You might say, "Excuse me, could we get the check when you have a chance?" The server says, "Sure, I'll bring it right over." If you are eating with a friend, the server may ask, "Would you like separate checks or one check?" You could answer, "Separate checks, please." Or you might tell your friend, "I've got this one." That means you are offering to pay. Your friend may say, "Are you sure?" You answer, "Yeah, you can get the next one." Listen again. "I've got this one." "Are you sure?" "Yeah, you can get the next one." This is a friendly, natural exchange. Another phrase is, "Let's split it." That means each person pays part of the total. You might say, "Let's just split the bill. Do you want to split it? We can split it evenly." Now, let's move into transportation and getting around. Imagine you need to take a bus, train, or subway, but you are not sure where to go. You could say, "Excuse me, does this train go downtown?" Someone replies, "Yes, but you'll need to transfer at Central Station." You ask, "Okay, which line do I take from there?" They answer, "Take the green line for 3 stops." You say, "Got it, thanks for your help." The phrase "got it" means, "I understand." It is very common in spoken English. You can use it in many situations. Someone says, "The meeting starts at 9 instead of 9:30. You say, "Got it." Someone says, "Turn left at the next light." You say, "Got it." Someone says, "Please send me the file before lunch." You answer, "Got it. I'll send it this morning." Practice, "Does this train go downtown?" "Where do I need to transfer?" "Which line should I take?" "How many stops is it from here?" "Is this the right platform?" "Got it. Thank you." Now, imagine you are in a rideshare or taxi. The driver asks, "Where are you headed?" You say, "I'm going to the airport, please." The driver asks, "Do you have a preferred route?" You say, "No. Whatever is fastest is fine." A few minutes later, you might say, "Could you drop me off near the main entrance?" Or, "This corner is fine, thank you." If you are in a hurry, you might ask, "Do you think we'll get there by 6?" The driver may answer, "It depends on traffic, but we should." The phrase "it depends on" is extremely useful in English. It depends on the weather. It depends on how busy we are. It depends on the price. It depends on what time you want to go. It depends on traffic. This phrase allows you to explain that the answer is not completely certain. Repeat, "It depends on traffic." "It depends on the weather." "It depends on what time we leave." "Whatever is fastest is fine." "Could you drop me off near the entrance?" "This corner is fine. Thank you." Now, imagine that you are driving and need directions. You ask someone, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to Lincoln Park from here?" The person says, "Sure, go straight for about 2 miles, then turn right at the second traffic light." You ask, "Is it far from there?" The person replies, "No, it should only take about 5 minutes." You say, "Great, thank you so much." If directions are complicated, you can confirm them. "So I go straight, turn right at the second light, and then the park will be on my left. Is that right?" The person says, "Exactly." This is another example of confirming information rather than pretending you understood everything. Let's practice a more natural direction conversation. "Excuse me, I'm trying to find the nearest pharmacy. There's one about 2 blocks from here. Which way should I go?" "Keep going straight. Then turn left at the bank." "Is it on the same side of the street?" "No, it'll be across the street." "Okay, I think I've got it. Thanks a lot." Notice the phrase, "I'm trying to find." This is a very useful alternative to "where is." You can say, "I'm trying to find the nearest ATM." "I'm trying to find gate 12." I'm trying to find the customer service desk. I'm trying to find a quiet place to sit. Now, let's practice describing a problem while traveling. Imagine your train is delayed. You ask an employee, "Excuse me, do you know why the train is delayed?" The employee says, "There's a mechanical issue, and we're expecting about a 30-minute delay." You ask, "Is there another train I could take?" The employee says, "You could take the express train from platform 4, but it leaves in 10 minutes. You respond, "Okay, thank you. I'll try that." The phrase, "Do you know why?" can help you ask about situations politely. Do you know why the store is closed? Do you know why the meeting was canceled? Do you know why traffic is so bad? Do you know why my payment didn't go through? This is a very flexible question pattern. Now, imagine a flight situation. You approach the airline desk and say, "Hi, my flight has been delayed, and I'm worried I might miss my connection." The employee says, "Let me take a look. What's your final destination?" You answer, "Chicago." The employee says, "It looks like you still have enough time, but if anything changes, we can rebook you." You respond, "Okay, that's good to know. Thank you." Notice the phrase, "That's good to know." This means the information is useful or reassuring. You can say, "There's free parking after 6. Oh, that's good to know." Or, "The store stays open until 10 tonight. That's good to know." It is a simple phrase that makes your responses sound more natural. Repeat, "I'm worried I might miss my connection. Could you take a look? Is there another option? That's good to know. If anything changes, please let me know." Again, if anything changes, please let me know. Now, let's move into phone conversations. Speaking on the phone can feel more difficult because you cannot see the other person's face or body language. That means clear expressions are especially important. Imagine you call a doctor's office. You say, "Hi, I'm calling to make an appointment." The receptionist says, "Sure. Have you been here before?" You say, "Yes, I have." The receptionist asks, "What day works best for you?" You answer, "Do you have anything available on Thursday afternoon?" The receptionist says, "We have an opening at 2:30. You reply, 2:30 works for me." The phrase, "Do you have anything available?" is useful for appointments, reservations, classes, and services. Do you have anything available tomorrow morning? Do you have any tables available around 7? Do you have any appointments available this week? Do you have anything available after 5? Now, suppose the time does not work. You can say, "I'm afraid I can't make 2:30. Do you have anything later?" The receptionist says, "The next opening is at 4:15. You reply, "That works, I'll take it." "I'll take it" is a natural way to accept an available appointment or reservation. Practice this exchange. "I'm calling to make an appointment. Do you have anything available Thursday afternoon? We have an opening at 2:30. I'm afraid I can't make that time. Do you have anything later? We have 4:15. That works. I'll take it." Now, imagine you need to cancel or reschedule. You could say, "Hi, I have an appointment tomorrow at 11, but I need to reschedule." The receptionist asks, "Would you like to move it to another day?" You say, "Yes, if possible. Is there anything available next Monday?" Again, notice the polite phrase, "if possible." It is useful whenever you are making a request. "Could I have a window seat, if possible?" "I'd like an earlier appointment, if possible." "Could we move the meeting to Friday, if possible?" Let's continue with a speaking exercise that combines several everyday situations. Imagine you are in a store and cannot find something. Say, "Excuse me, I'm looking for a phone charger. Could you tell me where they are?" Now, imagine you are at a restaurant and want to change your side dish. Say, Could I get the salad instead of the fries, please? Now, imagine you are taking a train and are unsure about your route. Say, "Excuse me, is this the right train for downtown?" Now, imagine you need a doctor's appointment. Say, "Hi, I'm calling to make an appointment. Do you have anything available Friday morning?" And finally, imagine you are returning something to a store. Say, "I bought this yesterday, but it isn't working properly. Would it be possible to get a refund?" Repeat those situations once more in your own mind. Picture the store, the restaurant, the train station, the doctor's office, and the customer service desk. Connecting the words with realistic situations will help you recall them more quickly. Real English fluency is not just knowing vocabulary. It is being able to recognize a situation and immediately access the phrases that fit that situation. As you continue, remember some of the most useful expressions we have practiced. I'm looking for. Do you have this in another size? Which one would you recommend? Could I get this without onions? I think there might be a mistake. Could we get the check? Where do I need to transfer? It depends on traffic. I'm trying to find. That's good to know. Do you have anything available? And, that works for me. These expressions are short, but they give you a strong foundation for handling real conversations smoothly and confidently. Now, let's continue with another important area of everyday English: conversations at work. Even if you do not work in an English-speaking environment right now, these expressions are useful because many of them can also be used in school, group projects, meetings, and professional situations. One of the most common workplace questions is, "Do you have a minute?" This does not always mean exactly 1 minute. It usually means, "Are you available to talk for a short time?" You might hear, "Hey, do you have a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "I wanted to ask you about the report." "Of course, what do you need?" The response, "What's up?" is casual and natural. In a more professional situation, you could say, "Sure, how can I help?" Or, "Of course, what would you like to discuss?" If you are busy, you can still answer politely. You might say, "I'm in the middle of something right now. Can I come by in about 20 minutes?" The expression, "I'm in the middle of something," means that you are currently busy with a task and cannot stop immediately. Listen to these examples. "I'm in the middle of a meeting right now." "I'm in the middle of writing an email." "I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back?" "I'm in the middle of lunch, but I can talk in a few minutes." This phrase is very flexible and sounds natural in both professional and casual conversations. Now, imagine that your coworker asks you for an update. They say, "How are things going with the presentation?" You could answer, "Pretty well. I've finished the slides, and I'm reviewing everything one more time before I send it." Your coworker asks, "Do you think you'll have it done by the end of the day?" You answer, "Yes, that shouldn't be a problem." The phrase, "that shouldn't be a problem," is a confident but natural way to say that you expect something to be possible. You could also say, "I should be able to finish it by 4. I'm on track to finish today. I just need another hour or so. I'm almost done." These expressions help you give clear updates without using complicated language. Repeat after me. I'm on track to finish today. I should be able to finish it by 4. I just need another hour or so. I'm almost done. That shouldn't be a problem. Try to imagine that you are answering a coworker instead of simply reading the words. Now, let's imagine the project is taking longer than expected. Your manager asks, "Will the report be ready this afternoon?" You might say, "I'm making good progress, but I need a little more time than I expected. Would tomorrow morning be okay?" This is much better than waiting until the deadline has passed without saying anything. You can explain the situation clearly and suggest a new time. Another useful expression is, I'm running behind. It means you are later than planned with your work or schedule. I'm running a little behind on the report. We're running behind schedule. I got started late this morning, so I'm running behind. If you need help, you can say, I'm running a little behind. Would you be able to help me with the final section? Now, listen to this workplace conversation. Do you think you can send me the updated numbers before lunch? I'll do my best, but I'm still waiting for some information from the finance team. Okay, just send them as soon as you have everything. Will do. The expression will do is a short, informal way of saying, yes, I will do that. You may hear it frequently between coworkers. Repeat, I'll do my best. I'm still waiting for some information. I'll send it as soon as I have everything. Will do. These phrases are useful because they help you communicate clearly without sounding too formal. Now, let's practice asking for help at work. Imagine you are unsure how to complete a task. You could say, could you show me how to do this when you have a chance? Notice the phrase, when you have a chance. It makes your request sound less demanding. You can also say, do you mind taking a quick look at this? Could I get your opinion on something? Would you mind helping me with this part? Or, can I ask you a quick question? Imagine this exchange. Do you mind taking a quick look at this email before I send it? Sure, give me a second. I just want to make sure everything is clear. It looks good. I'd only change the last sentence. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. This type of interaction happens constantly in workplaces. The phrase take a look is very common. It means examine or check something. Can you take a look at this? I'll take a look later today. Could you take a quick look at the schedule? Let me take a look and get back to you. That final phrase, get back to you, means respond later after you have checked or considered something. For example, someone asks, do you know whether we have enough money in the budget? You might say, I'm not sure. Let me check and get back to you. Someone asks, can we move the meeting to Friday? You answer, let me check my schedule and get back to you. This is much more natural than guessing or giving an answer before you are sure. Practice, let me check and get back to you. I'll take a look. Could I get your opinion on something? Would you mind helping me with this? I just want to make sure everything is correct. Now, let's move into meetings. Meetings can be difficult for English learners because several people may speak quickly, interrupt each other, or use short professional expressions. One very useful phrase is, can I add something? This is a polite way to enter the conversation. You could also say, I'd like to add one thing. Can I make a quick point? Or, I have a question about that. Imagine someone says, I think we should launch the new service next month. You might respond, I agree overall, but I think we need a little more time for testing. Notice the phrase, I agree overall, but. This allows you to disagree with one part of an idea without rejecting everything the person said. You can also say, I see your point, but I'm not sure that will work for every customer. The phrase, I see your point, means you understand the other person's reasoning, even if you do not completely agree. This is excellent language for respectful disagreement. Let's practice. I see your point. I agree to some extent. I'm not completely sure about that. Could we consider another option? What if we tried a different approach? These phrases can help you participate in discussions without sounding too direct. Now, listen to this short meeting exchange. I think we should change the deadline to Monday. I see your point, but Monday might be too soon for the design team. That's fair. What would you suggest? Could we aim for Wednesday instead? That sounds more realistic. Notice the phrase, that's fair. It means you accept that the other person has made a reasonable point. You may also hear, that makes sense. This means the idea is understandable or logical. We should leave early because traffic gets worse after 5. That makes sense. I think we should test the new system before everyone starts using it. Yeah, that makes sense. It is one of the easiest and most natural responses you can use in English. Repeat. That makes sense. That's fair. What would you suggest? Could we aim for Wednesday instead? That sounds more realistic. Now, let's change situations and talk about visiting a doctor or discussing a health problem. You do not need advanced medical vocabulary to communicate clearly. You can usually explain when the problem started, what you are feeling, and whether it is getting better or worse. Imagine the doctor asks, "What brings you in today?" This is a common way of asking why you came to the clinic. You could answer, "I've had a sore throat and a cough for the past 3 days." The doctor asks, "Have you had a fever?" You say, "A little. It was higher yesterday, but I'm feeling slightly better today." The doctor may ask, "Are you taking anything for it?" You answer, "I've been taking an over-the-counter cold medicine." Notice the useful structure "I've had" for. You can say, "I've had this headache for 2 days." "I've had pain in my shoulder for about a week." "I've had a cough since Monday." When talking about a symptom that started in the past and continues now, this pattern is very common. You can also describe changes. It seems to be getting worse. It's a little better today. The pain comes and goes. It hurts more when I walk. It's worse at night. I haven't noticed any improvement yet. These phrases allow you to give the doctor useful information without needing complicated vocabulary. Practice. "I've had a headache for 2 days. It seems to be getting worse. The pain comes and goes. It hurts more when I move. I'm feeling a little better today." Now, imagine you are at a pharmacy. You say, "Hi, I'm looking for something for a bad cough." The pharmacist might ask, "Is it a dry cough? Or are you coughing up mucus?" You answer based on your situation. You could then ask, "Is there anything you would recommend?" The pharmacist may say, "You can try this, but make sure you follow the directions on the package." You respond, "Okay, does it make you sleepy?" That is an important question if you need to drive or work. Other useful pharmacy questions include, "How often should I take this?" "Should I take it with food?" "Are there any side effects I should know about?" "Can I take this with my other medication?" "Do I need a prescription for this?" These are practical questions that can help you communicate clearly. Now, let's move to another everyday responsibility: calling customer service. This can be challenging because you often need to explain a problem clearly. A useful structure is to begin with what happened, explain what you expected, and then say what you need. Imagine you call your internet company and say, "Hi, I'm calling because my internet hasn't been working properly since this morning." The representative asks, "Are you able to connect at all?" You answer, "It connects for a few minutes, but then it keeps dropping." The representative says, "Let me check your account." You respond, "Sure." The phrase "keeps dropping" means the connection repeatedly stops working. The word keep plus an ing form is useful for repeated problems. My phone keeps freezing. The app keeps crashing. The door keeps getting stuck. The printer keeps showing the same error. My payment keeps getting declined. Now, imagine the representative gives you instructions. Please unplug the router, wait 30 seconds, and plug it back in. You can say, "Okay, give me a second." After trying it, you say, "It's working now." Or perhaps you say, "Unfortunately, I'm still having the same problem." That is a useful phrase when a suggested solution does not work. Listen to this conversation. "Did that fix the issue?" "No. Unfortunately, I'm still having the same problem." "Okay, let me try something else." "Sure. I'm going to reset the connection from my end. Okay. Should I do anything? No. Just give it a minute. All right. Notice how I'm still having the same problem can be used in many situations. You can say it to technical support, a mechanic, a doctor, or anyone helping you solve a problem. Now, suppose you ordered something online and it has not arrived. You call customer service and say, "Hi, I'm calling about an order that was supposed to arrive yesterday, but I haven't received it yet." The representative asks for your order number. You provide it, and they say, "It looks like the package was delayed in transit." You might ask, "Do you know when I can expect it?" The representative says, "It should arrive within the next 2 days." You respond, "Okay. Is there a way to track it?" The phrase, "was supposed to," is extremely useful. It describes something that was expected or planned. The package was supposed to arrive yesterday. The meeting was supposed to start at 10. I was supposed to call you this morning. We were supposed to meet at the coffee shop. The train was supposed to leave 5 minutes ago. Repeat. It was supposed to arrive yesterday. I was supposed to call you. We were supposed to meet at 6. Do you know when I can expect it? Is there a way to track it? Now, let's practice explaining another customer service problem. Imagine you notice an unfamiliar charge on your bank account. You call and say, "Hi, I noticed a charge on my account that I don't recognize." The representative asks, "What date was the charge made?" You say, "It was posted yesterday for $47. The representative asks, "Do you recognize the name of the business?" You answer, "No, I've never heard of it." The representative says, "Okay, I can help you dispute that charge." Notice how clearly the problem is explained. You do not need to use long sentences. Clear communication is often more effective than complicated English. Now, let's switch to social conversations and making small talk. Small talk is important because not every conversation has a serious purpose. Sometimes people simply want to be friendly. You might talk about the weather, weekend plans, work, food, traffic, or something happening around you. Imagine you are waiting in line at a coffee shop and someone says, "It's really busy in here today." You could respond, "Yeah, I wasn't expecting such a long line." The person says, "It's usually quieter around this time." You say, "Maybe everyone had the same idea today." This short conversation does not need to lead anywhere. It is simply friendly interaction. Another common situation is talking before a meeting. Someone says, "How was your weekend?" Instead of saying only "good," you can give a small detail. "It was pretty relaxing. I mostly stayed home and caught up on a few things." Then ask, "How about yours?" This creates a natural exchange. Imagine this conversation. "How was your weekend?" "Pretty good. I went hiking with a few friends on Saturday." "Nice. Where did you go?" "We went to a trail about an hour outside the city." "Was it crowded?" "Not too bad. We got there pretty early." This is natural because each person reacts to the previous answer and asks a related question. A good conversation is not a list of unrelated questions. Try to listen for one detail and respond to it. If someone says, "I tried a new restaurant last night," you can ask, "What kind of food was it? Was it good? Where was it? Would you go back?" These questions show real interest and keep the conversation moving. Now, let's practice reactions. Someone tells you, "I finally finished the course I've been taking." You might say, "That's great. How did it go?" Someone says, "I'm moving to a new apartment next month." You say, "Oh, nice. Is it in the same neighborhood?" Someone says, "My flight got canceled yesterday." You respond, "Oh no. What happened?" Someone says, "I got a promotion at work." You say, "Congratulations. That's exciting." Natural conversation depends heavily on these short reactions. That's great. That sounds nice. Oh no. Really? That's interesting. That must have been stressful. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. They help show emotion and interest. Now, let's look at the phrase, that must have been. You can use it to respond to another person's experience. Someone says, I was stuck in traffic for 3 hours. You say, that must have been frustrating. Someone says, I had to give a presentation to 200 people. You say, that must have been nerve-wracking. Someone says, we finally found our lost dog. You say, that must have been such a relief. Repeat, that must have been stressful. That must have been frustrating. That must have been exciting. That must have been a relief. This pattern helps you respond with empathy and keeps conversations from feeling mechanical. Now, let's do another speaking exercise. Imagine your coworker asks for an update, and you are almost finished. Say, I'm almost done. I just need another hour or so, and then I'll send it over. Repeat, I'm almost done. I just need another hour or so, and then I'll send it over. Imagine you disagree slightly with someone during a meeting. Say, I see your point, but I think we should consider another option. Repeat, I see your point, but I think we should consider another option. Imagine you are speaking to a doctor about a problem that started 3 days ago. Say, I've had a sore throat for about 3 days, and it seems to be getting worse. Repeat, I've had a sore throat for about 3 days, and it seems to be getting worse. Imagine you are calling customer service because your delivery is late. Say, my order was supposed to arrive yesterday, but I still haven't received it. Could you check the status for me? Repeat, my order was supposed to arrive yesterday, but I still haven't received it. Could you check the status for me? Now, imagine a friend tells you they had an extremely stressful day. Instead of immediately talking about your own day, respond to what they said. You can say, that sounds exhausting. What happened? Repeat, that sounds exhausting. What happened? This is an important conversation skill. English fluency is not only about producing correct sentences, it is also about responding appropriately. When someone shares good news, react positively. When someone describes a difficult experience, show understanding. When someone asks for information, answer clearly. When you do not understand, ask for clarification. These habits make your English sound much more natural. Let's review several expressions in a smooth sequence. Do you have a minute? I'm in the middle of something right now. I'm on track to finish today. I'm running a little behind. I'll do my best. Could you take a quick look at this? Let me check and get back to you. I see your point. That makes sense. I've had this problem for a few days. I'm still having the same issue. It was supposed to arrive yesterday. That must have been frustrating. That sounds great. These are the kinds of expressions that allow you to participate in real conversations instead of translating every thought word by word. The goal is to make these phrases automatic. When someone asks you for an update, you want expressions like, I'm almost done, I'm making good progress, and I'm running a little behind to come to mind naturally. When there is a problem, you want phrases like, I'm still having the same issue. Could you take a look? And let me know what I should do next, to feel automatic as well. When you are having a social conversation, you want reactions like, that sounds great, that must have been difficult, and how did it go? To feel easy. Continue practicing these complete phrases aloud. Do not worry about speaking extremely fast. A comfortable, natural rhythm is more important. Listen to the sentence, understand the situation, repeat the sentence, and then imagine yourself using it in a real conversation. The more often you practice English in realistic situations, the easier it becomes to respond without stopping to translate every sentence in your head. Now, let's continue with another situation that appears constantly in everyday life: talking with friends, neighbors, coworkers, and other people about plans, preferences, opinions, and decisions. At an intermediate level, it is important to move beyond simple answers like yes, no, good, or bad. You want to give a reason, add a detail, and sometimes ask a follow-up question. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like living in this neighborhood?" you could say, "Yeah, I do. It's pretty quiet, and everything I need is within walking distance. The only downside is that parking can be difficult." This answer sounds natural because you give both a positive point and a small negative point. The expression "the only downside is" very useful when you want to mention a disadvantage. You can say, "The apartment is great. The only downside is that the kitchen is pretty small. I really like working from home. The only downside is that I sometimes miss talking to people in person. The restaurant was excellent. The only downside was the long wait." A similar expression is, "The good thing is." For example, "The commute is long, but the good thing is that I can work from home twice a week." Repeat after me. The only downside is the long commute. The good thing is that it's close to work. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It depends on what you're looking for. These phrases are useful when giving balanced opinions. Imagine a friend is thinking about moving to a new neighborhood and asks, "What do you think of this area?" You could say, "I like it. It's safe. There are plenty of restaurants nearby, and public transportation is convenient. It can get noisy on weekends. Though." Notice the word "though" at the end of the sentence. In everyday conversation, people often use "though" to add a contrasting idea. The apartment is small. It's really affordable, though. The restaurant was crowded. The food was great, though. The drive took a long time. The scenery was beautiful, though. Let's practice. It's a little expensive. The location is great, though. The room is small. It's comfortable. Though. It was a difficult week. I learned a lot, though. Adding "though" in this way can make your spoken English sound much more natural. Now, imagine a friend asks you for advice. They say, "I'm thinking about joining a gym, but I'm not sure if I'll actually go." You might answer, "Maybe you could start with a monthly membership instead of signing up for a whole year." Your friend says, "That's a good idea. I don't want to commit to something if I'm not going to use it." You respond, "Exactly. Try it for a month and see how you feel." Notice the phrase, "maybe you could." It is a gentle way to give advice. Maybe you could talk to your manager. Maybe you could try going earlier. Maybe you could compare a few options first. Maybe you could ask them for more information. This sounds friendlier than giving a direct command. Another useful phrase is, "If I were you, I'd." You can say, "If I were you, I'd call them before going there." "If I were you, I'd give yourself a little more time." "If I were you, I'd wait until tomorrow." This expression is common when offering personal advice, but remember that advice often sounds better when it is gentle rather than too strong. Practice. Maybe you could try a different approach. "If I were you, I'd call first." It might be worth checking. You could always ask. The phrase, "it might be worth," is especially useful. It means that something may be useful enough to try. It might be worth asking for a discount. It might be worth checking another store. It might be worth getting a second opinion. Now, let's move into conversations about household responsibilities. These conversations may seem simple, but they include many useful phrases. Imagine someone at home says, "Could you take out the trash when you get a chance?" You respond, "Sure, I'll do it in a minute." Later, someone asks, "Did you remember to run the dishwasher?" You say, Not yet. I was going to do it after dinner. The phrase, I was going to, describes something you intended to do. For example, I was going to call you this afternoon. I was going to clean the kitchen after lunch. I was going to stop at the store on the way home. I was going to ask you the same thing. This pattern is extremely common in everyday conversations. Imagine this exchange. Are we out of coffee? Almost. There's enough for tomorrow morning. Okay, I'll pick some up after work. Could you get some milk too? Sure. Anything else? I think that's it. Okay. Send me a message if you remember anything. This conversation contains several simple expressions that you can use constantly. Are we out of? I'll pick some up. Anything else? I think that's it. To be out of something means that you have no more of it. We're out of milk. I'm almost out of shampoo. Are we out of paper towels? The store is out of my usual brand. Notice the difference between we're out of coffee and we're almost out of coffee. The second means there is still a little left. Repeat. We're almost out of milk. I'll pick some up later. Anything else? I think that's it. Send me a message if you remember anything. Now, imagine you share an apartment with someone and you want to discuss chores politely. You could say, "Hey, could we talk about the cleaning schedule for a minute?" The other person says, "Sure, what's going on?" You say, "I've noticed that the kitchen has been getting pretty messy lately. Could we take turns cleaning it?" This is a calm way to raise a small problem. The phrase, "I've noticed that," can help you discuss something without sounding too accusatory. I've noticed that the door doesn't close properly. I've noticed that we're spending more on groceries lately. I've noticed that the internet gets slower at night. You describe what you have observed instead of immediately blaming another person. Suppose your roommate responds, "Yeah, that's fair. I've been really busy this week, but I can clean it tonight." You say, "Thanks, I can take care of it next time." Take care of can mean handle or complete something. I'll take care of the dishes. Can you take care of the laundry? Don't worry about the reservation. I'll take care of it. Now, let's move into conversations with neighbors. Imagine you recently moved into an apartment building and meet someone in the hallway. They say, "Hi, I don't think we've met. I'm Jason. I live across the hall." You respond, "Nice to meet you." "Jason, I'm Emma. I just moved in last week." Jason says, "Oh, welcome to the building. How are you liking it so far?" You answer, "So far, so good. Everyone has been really friendly." The phrase, "so far, so good," means that things have gone well until now. You can use it in many situations. Someone asks, "How's the new job?" So far, so good. Someone asks, "How's your trip going?" So far, so good. Someone asks, "How's the new laptop working?" So far, so good. Imagine the neighbor says, "Let me know if you need anything." You can respond, "Thanks, I appreciate that." Later, you might need help. You could say, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but do you know what day they pick up the recycling?" The phrase, "sorry to bother you," is useful when you are asking someone for help or interrupting them briefly. Practice, "Sorry to bother you, but could I ask you something?" Do you know what day they pick up the trash? Thanks, I appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything. So far, so good. Now, let's practice conversations around invitations. Imagine a coworker says, "A few of us are getting dinner after work on Friday. Do you want to join us?" You could answer, "That sounds fun. What time are you going?" If you want to accept, you might say, "Yeah, count me in." Count me in means you would like to participate. If you cannot attend, you can say, "Thanks for inviting me, but I already have plans Friday night." You could also say, "I'm not sure yet. Can I let you know tomorrow?" That is a very natural response if you need time to decide. The person might say, Sure, no problem. Then you can say, thanks. I just need to check my schedule. Repeat. Count me in. Thanks for inviting me. I already have plans. Can I let you know tomorrow? I just need to check my schedule. These phrases are useful for invitations to dinners, parties, meetings, events, trips, and many other activities. Now, imagine that you invited someone to your home. You might say, come over around 7. We'll probably eat around 7:30. Your friend says, should I bring anything? You respond, you don't have to, but you can bring something to drink if you want. Your friend says, sounds good. Do you need me to pick anything up on the way? You answer, actually, if you don't mind, could you grab a bag of ice? Your friend says, sure, no problem. Notice the expression, if you don't mind. It makes a request softer. If you don't mind, could you close the window? If you don't mind, could you send that to me again? If you don't mind, could we sit somewhere quieter? These are natural, polite requests. Now, let's talk about making decisions with another person. Imagine you and a friend are deciding where to eat. You say, what are you in the mood for? This means, what kind of food do you feel like eating? Your friend says, I'm not sure. Maybe Mexican food? You reply, that works for me. There's a place nearby that I've been wanting to try. Your friend says, okay, let's go there. The expression, I've been wanting to, means you have wanted to do something for some time. I've been wanting to try that restaurant. I've been wanting to watch that movie. I've been wanting to visit Seattle. I've been wanting to ask you about that. This is very common in conversation. Imagine your friend says, actually, that restaurant looks pretty expensive. You answer, you're right. We could go somewhere more casual. Your friend says, how about the taco place on Main Street? You respond, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that means the suggestion is acceptable to you. Practice, what are you in the mood for? I've been wanting to try that place. We could go somewhere more casual. I'm good with that. Let's go with that option. Now, let's move into talking about preferences. Someone might ask, do you prefer working in the morning or at night? Instead of just saying morning, you can give a fuller answer. Definitely in the morning. I can focus much better before lunch, and I usually have more energy. Another person might say, I'm more of a night person. I tend to get more done when everything is quiet. The phrase, I'm more of a, helps describe your preference or personality. I'm more of a coffee person. I'm more of a morning person. I'm more of a stay-at-home person. I'm more of a planner. You can also compare options by saying, I'd rather. For example, I'd rather cook at home tonight. I'd rather take the train than drive. I'd rather go early and avoid the crowds. Remember that I'd rather is followed by the basic form of the verb, I'd rather stay home. I'd rather wait. I'd rather call them first. This is a natural and useful structure for everyday preferences. Repeat, I'd rather stay home tonight. I'd rather take the train. I'm more of a morning person. I prefer something a little quieter. Either option works for me. Now let's talk about conversations when something goes wrong at home. Imagine your kitchen sink is leaking. You call your landlord or building manager and say, Hi, I'm calling because there seems to be a leak under my kitchen sink. The manager asks, when did you notice it? You say, I noticed it this morning, but it seems to be getting worse. The manager asks, is there a lot of water? You answer, not a huge amount, but I've put a towel underneath it for now. The phrase, there seems to be, is useful when you notice a problem but are not completely sure what is causing it. There seems to be a problem with the heater. There seems to be a mistake on my bill. There seems to be something wrong with the lock. This sounds natural and professional. The manager says, I can have someone come by this afternoon. You ask, do you know around what time? The manager says, probably between 2 and 4. You respond, okay, that works. I'll be home. If you cannot be there, you could say, I won't be home then. Is there another time available? Now. Imagine your air conditioner stops working on a hot day. You call and say, hi, my air conditioner doesn't seem to be working. It turns on, but it isn't cooling the apartment. The manager says, have you checked the thermostat? You say, yes, I have. Everything looks normal. The manager responds, okay, I'll send someone to take a look. You say, thanks, I'd really appreciate that. Practice. There seems to be a problem with the air conditioner. It turns on, but it isn't cooling the room. Could you send someone to take a look? Do you know around what time they'll come? I'd really appreciate that. Now, let's move into conversations about money and everyday payments. Imagine you are at a store and your card is declined. The cashier says, I'm sorry, but this card didn't go through. You could respond calmly, that's strange. Could you try it one more time? If it still does not work, you can say, no problem. Let me use a different card. The phrase didn't go through is commonly used when a payment or transaction is not successfully processed. My payment didn't go through. The online order didn't go through. I tried to send the payment, but it didn't go through. Now, imagine you are splitting a bill with friends. Someone says, how much do I owe you? You say, your part was about $25. The person says, can I send it to you later? You respond, sure. No rush. No rush means there is no need to hurry. You can use this in many situations. Send it when you have time. No rush. You can return the book next week. No rush. Now imagine you realize you accidentally paid for something twice. You contact customer service and say, hi, I think I was charged twice for the same purchase. The representative says, let me check that for you. You reply, thanks. I can see 2 identical charges on my account. The representative says, you're right. One of them should disappear within a few business days. You could ask, do I need to do anything on my end? This means, is there anything I need to do myself? Repeat, I think I was charged twice. Could you check that for me? Do I need to do anything on my end? How long should that take? Okay, thanks for clearing that up. The phrase, thanks for clearing that up, means thank you for explaining something that was confusing. Now, let's practice telling a short story about something that happened during your day. Storytelling is a very important part of everyday conversation. You do not need to tell a dramatic story. Even simple events can become natural conversation practice. Imagine someone asks, how was your morning? You could say, it was a little chaotic, actually. I left home later than usual, and then I realized I had forgotten my wallet. I had to turn around and go back for it, so I ended up missing my usual train. Luckily, the next one came about 10 minutes later, and I still made it to work on time. Notice the expressions later than usual, I had to turn around, I ended up, and luckily. These help connect your story. I ended up is particularly useful when describing the final result of a situation. We couldn't find a table, so we ended up eating somewhere else. It started raining, so we ended up staying home. I missed the bus, so I ended up taking a taxi. Let's practice. I ended up taking a taxi. We ended up staying home. I ended up buying the cheaper one. Luckily, everything worked out. The phrase worked out means the situation ended successfully. It was stressful at first, but everything worked out. We had a few problems, but it all worked out in the end. Now, imagine your friend tells you, I had the worst morning. My alarm didn't go off. I spilled coffee on my shirt, and then my car wouldn't start. A natural response might be, "Wow, that sounds like a rough morning. Were you able to get your car started?" Your friend says, "Eventually, my neighbor helped me." You respond, "At least it worked out." At least can help you mention a positive side of a difficult situation. The flight was delayed, but at least it wasn't canceled. The restaurant was crowded, but at least we got a table. I lost my umbrella, but at least it wasn't expensive. Use it when you want to recognize something positive even though the overall situation was not ideal. Repeat, "At least everything worked out." "At least we got there safely." "At least it wasn't canceled." That sounds like a rough morning. What happened after that? Now, let's do a longer speaking practice. Imagine a friend asks what you did yesterday. Listen to this natural answer. "Yesterday was pretty busy. I had a few errands to run in the morning. So I went to the grocery store, stopped by the pharmacy, and picked up a package. And after that, I met a friend for lunch. We hadn't seen each other in a few weeks, so we spent a couple of hours catching up. Later, I went home, finished some work, and made dinner. Nothing too exciting, but it was a productive day." Repeat it in smaller thought groups. Yesterday was pretty busy. I had a few errands to run in the morning. I went to the grocery store, stopped by the pharmacy, and picked up a package. After that, I met a friend for lunch. We spent a couple of hours catching up. Nothing too exciting, but it was a productive day. The phrase, "I had a few errands to run," is very useful. An errand is a short trip you make to complete a practical task, such as going to the bank, grocery store, pharmacy, post office, or dry cleaner. You can say, "I have a few errands to run after work. I spent the morning running errands. I need to run a quick errand before lunch." Now, let's try another speaking situation. Imagine someone asks why you are tired today. You can say, "I didn't sleep very well last night. I stayed up later than I planned, and then I had to get up early this morning." Repeat, "I didn't sleep very well last night. I stayed up later than I planned, and then I had to get up early this morning." Imagine someone asks whether you enjoyed a new restaurant. Say, "Yeah, I liked it overall. The food was great, and the service was really friendly. The only downside was that it was pretty noisy." Repeat, "Yeah, I liked it overall. The food was great, and the service was really friendly. The only downside was that it was pretty noisy." Imagine a friend asks for advice about buying a laptop. You could say, "If I were you, I'd compare a few different models before deciding. It might also be worth reading some reviews." Repeat, "If I were you, I'd compare a few different models before deciding. It might also be worth reading some reviews." Now, imagine that something in your apartment needs to be repaired. Say, "There seems to be a problem with the kitchen sink. It started leaking this morning, and it seems to be getting worse." Repeat, "There seems to be a problem with the kitchen sink. It started leaking this morning, and it seems to be getting worse." And imagine someone asks about your plans for tonight. You can answer, "I haven't decided yet. I might stay home and relax. But a friend invited me out for dinner, so I'm still thinking about it." Repeat, "I haven't decided yet. I might stay home and relax. But a friend invited me out for dinner, so I'm still thinking about it." Notice how these answers are longer than beginner-level responses, but they are still clear and manageable. Intermediate English is not about using the most difficult vocabulary you know. It is about expressing complete thoughts naturally. You want to connect ideas with phrases like but, so, because, even though, actually, overall, at least, in the end, and the only downside is. These small connecting expressions make a big difference in fluency. Let's practice a few connected thoughts. I wanted to go out, but I was too tired, so I stayed home. The restaurant was expensive, but the food was excellent. I was running late because traffic was worse than usual. Even though it was raining, we decided to go for a walk. I wasn't sure at first, but in the end, I decided to go. The trip was tiring, but overall, I really enjoyed it. Say them again slowly and naturally. I wanted to go out, but I was too tired, so I stayed home. I was running late because traffic was worse than usual. I wasn't sure at first, but in the end, I decided to go. These thought groups can help you speak more smoothly because you are organizing your ideas instead of trying to produce one long sentence all at once. Before we continue, remember several expressions from this practice. The only downside is, it might be worth checking. I was going to. We're almost out of. I'll take care of it. So far, so good. Count me in. If you don't mind. What are you in the mood for? I've been wanting to. I'd rather. There seems to be a problem. It didn't go through. I ended up, at least. And I have a few errands to run. Do not try to memorize them as isolated pieces of vocabulary. Connect each expression with a situation. Imagine your refrigerator is almost empty. We're almost out of milk. Imagine a friend invites you somewhere. Count me in. Imagine someone asks you to choose between driving and taking the train. I'd rather take the train. Imagine a payment fails. It didn't go through. Imagine your plans change unexpectedly. I ended up staying home. When the phrase is connected to a realistic moment, your brain has a reason to remember it. Keep listening carefully, repeating aloud, and practicing complete thoughts. Every time you repeat a useful sentence in context, you are training yourself to respond more naturally. Over time, these expressions stop feeling like something you studied and start feeling like something you simply know how to say. Now, let's continue with another important part of real English conversation: handling unexpected situations and solving small everyday problems. These moments are especially useful for intermediate learners because they require you to explain what happened, ask questions, suggest solutions, and respond naturally when things do not go as planned. Imagine you are at a coffee shop and realize that you received the wrong drink. You could say, "Excuse me, I think there may have been a mix-up. I ordered an iced latte, but I think this is a regular coffee." The employee says, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me remake it for you." You respond, "No problem. Thank you." Notice the expression, "There may have been a mix-up." A mix-up is a small mistake or confusion. This phrase is useful when you want to point out a problem politely. You could say, "I think there may have been a mix-up with my order." There seems to have been a mix-up with the reservation. I think there was a mix-up with the schedule. This is a softer way to explain that something went wrong without immediately blaming someone. Practice, "I think there may have been a mix-up. I ordered something different. Would you mind checking?" "No problem. Thank you for fixing it." Now, imagine you arrive at a hotel and the room is not what you expected. You say, "Hi, I just checked into my room, but I think there might be a problem with the reservation." The employee asks, "What seems to be the issue?" You answer, "I booked a room with 2 beds, but the room I was given only has 1. The employee says, "Let me take a look at your reservation." You respond, "Sure, I have the confirmation email if that helps." The phrase, "if that helps," is very useful when you are offering additional information. I have a receipt, if that helps. I can show you the email, if that helps. I have a picture of the problem, if that helps. It is a polite way to offer something that may make the situation easier to solve. Now, imagine the employee says, "I see the problem. We can move you to another room, but it won't be ready for about 30 minutes. You might say, That's okay. Is there somewhere I can leave my luggage while I wait? The employee says, absolutely. We can keep it at the front desk. You answer, great. I appreciate your help. Notice how the conversation remains calm and solution-focused. In real life, speaking clearly and politely often makes it easier to solve a problem. Now, let's talk about losing something. Imagine you are at a gym and cannot find your keys. You approach the front desk and say, hi, I think I may have lost my keys somewhere in the gym. Has anyone turned in a set of keys? The employee says, what do they look like? You answer, there are 3 keys on a black keychain, and there's a small blue tag attached. The employee checks and says, yes, someone turned them in about 10 minutes ago. You respond, that's such a relief. Thank you so much. The phrase, has anyone turned in, means has anyone found something and brought it to the staff. You can say, has anyone turned in a wallet? Has anyone turned in a phone? Has anyone turned in a pair of glasses? This is a very useful phrase when you lose something in a public place. Now suppose the item has not been found. The employee says, no one has turned anything in yet, but you can leave your contact information. You respond, okay. Could you call me if someone finds them? The employee says, of course. You say, thanks. I'll check again later. Practice. I think I may have lost my keys. Has anyone turned them in? What do they look like? Could you call me if someone finds them? That's such a relief. Now, let's move into conversations about transportation problems. Imagine your car will not start. You call a roadside assistance company and say, hi, my car won't start, and I'm not sure what the problem is. The representative asks, where are you located? You answer, I'm in a parking lot near Pine Street and 5th Avenue. The representative asks, do you think the battery might be dead? You say, possibly. The lights come on. But the engine won't start. The representative says, we can send someone to take a look. It may take about 45 minutes. You respond, that's fine. Is there anything I should do while I'm waiting? They say, just stay somewhere safe and keep your phone nearby. You answer, okay, thank you. Notice the phrase, I'm not sure what the problem is. This is useful when you know something is wrong but do not know the cause. My laptop won't turn on, and I'm not sure what the problem is. The washing machine stopped working, but I'm not sure what the problem is. The payment keeps failing, and I'm not sure why. Now, imagine you are at a train station and suddenly hear that your platform has changed. You are not sure whether you heard the announcement correctly. You can ask, excuse me, did they just say that the train to Boston is leaving from platform 6? Someone responds, yes, they changed it from platform 3. You say, okay, thanks. I wanted to make sure I heard correctly. The phrase, I wanted to make sure, is useful whenever you are checking information. I wanted to make sure the appointment is still at 2. I wanted to make sure you received my email. I wanted to make sure this is the right address. I wanted to make sure I understood the instructions. Repeat. I wanted to make sure I heard correctly. Did they change the platform? Is this still the right train? Thanks. I just wanted to make sure. Now, let's talk about asking strangers for small favors. This is common when traveling, shopping, or spending time in public places. Imagine you are visiting a tourist attraction and want someone to take a photo for you. You might say, excuse me, would you mind taking a quick photo for me? The person says, sure. You hand them your phone and say, thank you. Just press this button here. After they take the picture, you say, that looks great. Thanks so much. The phrase, would you mind, is one of the most useful polite structures in English. Would you mind taking a picture? Would you mind moving your bag? Would you mind watching my seat for a minute? Would you mind closing the door? It sounds polite and natural. Remember that when someone asks, "Would you mind?" and you are happy to help, you can answer, "Not at all," "Of course," or "Sure." For example, "Would you mind taking a photo?" "Not at all." This can sometimes confuse learners because "not at all" sounds negative, but here it means "I do not mind." Practice. Would you mind taking a quick photo for me? Not at all. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Would you mind watching my bag for a minute? Sure. No problem. Now, imagine you are walking in an unfamiliar area and want to ask whether a route is safe. You might say, "Excuse me, I'm trying to get to the train station. Is it okay to walk there from here?" The person says, "During the day, yes, but I'd avoid that street at night." You ask, "Is there another route you'd recommend?" They say, "You can take Oak Avenue. It's a little longer, but it's busier and better lit." You respond, "That sounds better. Thanks for the advice." Notice the phrase, "I'd avoid." It is useful for giving recommendations about something that may not be a good idea. I'd avoid driving downtown during rush hour. I'd avoid that restaurant on Friday nights because it gets extremely crowded. I'd avoid taking that road because there's construction. Now, let's practice talking about events and reservations. Imagine you want to attend a local event. You call and say, "Hi, I'm calling to ask whether there are still tickets available for Saturday evening." The employee says, "Yes. We still have a few seats available." You ask, "Great. What time does the event start?" They answer, "It starts at 7:30, but doors open at 7. You ask, "Do I need to arrive early?" They say, "We recommend arriving about 20 minutes before the start." You respond, "Perfect. I'd like to book 2 tickets." If there are no tickets left, you might hear, "Unfortunately, Saturday is sold out." You could ask, "Are there any tickets available on Sunday?" or "Is there a waiting list?" The phrase "sold out" means that all tickets or available items have already been sold. You can use "sold out" in many situations. The concert is sold out. That show sold out in a few hours. The morning tour is sold out, but there are still spots available in the afternoon. The phrase "spots available" means places or spaces are still open. Practice. Are there still tickets available? What time does the event start? Is there a waiting list? Saturday is sold out. Are there any spots available on Sunday? Now, let's move into digital life and cybersecurity, because these situations are increasingly common in everyday conversations. Imagine you receive an email that looks suspicious. You ask a coworker, "Did you get an email asking you to reset your password?" Your coworker says, "Yeah, but I didn't click the link. It looked suspicious." You respond, "Good idea. I think we should check with the IT department before doing anything." The phrase, "before doing anything," is useful when you want to pause and verify information. Let's check the address before leaving. Call the bank before sending any money. Read the instructions before changing the settings. Let's ask someone before doing anything. Imagine you call technical support and say, "Hi, I received a message asking me to verify my account, but I'm not sure if it's legitimate." The support person says, "Please don't click any links. Can you forward the message to our security team?" You say, "Yes, I can do that." They respond, "We'll check it and let you know." You say, "Okay, thanks. I wanted to be careful." The phrase, "I wanted to be careful," is simple but useful. You can also say, "I didn't want to take any chances." That means you did not want to risk a bad result. The road looked icy, so I didn't want to take any chances. I wasn't sure whether the email was real, so I didn't want to take any chances. Repeat. I'm not sure if it's legitimate. I didn't click the link. I wanted to be careful. I didn't want to take any chances. Could you check this for me? Now, let's move into school and education-related conversations. Even if you are not currently a student, the same language can be useful when discussing deadlines, courses, training, and learning. Imagine you need extra time for an assignment. You might say, "Hi, I wanted to ask about the assignment that's due Friday. I've been dealing with a few unexpected issues this week, and I'm worried I may not be able to finish it on time." The teacher or instructor may say, "How much extra time do you think you need?" You could answer, "Would it be possible to submit it on Monday instead?" The instructor says, "That should be fine, but please make sure it's submitted by Monday morning." You respond, "Absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate the extra time." Notice how the request includes a short explanation and a specific alternative. Instead of simply saying, "I need more time," you explain the situation and suggest a reasonable deadline. Practice, "I wanted to ask about the assignment. I'm worried I may not be able to finish it on time. Would it be possible to submit it on Monday instead? I really appreciate the extra time." Now, imagine you are working on a group project and need access to a shared online folder. You message a teammate and say, "Hey, I'm trying to open the shared folder, but it says I don't have permission." Your teammate says, "Really? Let me check the settings." You respond, "Thanks. I think I might need access to the whole folder, not just the document." Your teammate says, "Okay, I just updated it. Try again." You say, "Got it. It works now." The phrase, "I don't have permission," is common when talking about digital files, apps, or workplace systems. You might say, "I don't have permission to edit this file. It says I don't have access. Could you give me access to the folder? Could you check the sharing settings?" Now, let's practice declining something politely. Imagine your coworker says, "Can you join another meeting at 4?" But you already have important work to finish. You can say, "I'm afraid I won't be able to join at 4 because I'm working on something that needs to be finished today. Could you send me the notes afterward?" This is polite, clear, and solution-focused. You could also say, "I have a conflict at that time." A conflict in scheduling means you already have another commitment. "I have a scheduling conflict at 3. I'm afraid I have another meeting at that time. Would it be possible to move it to later in the day?" Practice. "I'm afraid I won't be able to join. I have a conflict at that time. Could you send me the notes afterward? Would it be possible to move it to later?" Now, let's look at conversations about rent and deposits. Imagine you are considering renting an apartment and asking questions before making a decision. You might say, "Could you tell me what's included in the monthly rent?" The property manager says, "Water and trash are included, but electricity and internet are separate." You ask, "Okay, and how much is the security deposit?" They answer, "It's equal to 1 month's rent." You respond, "Is the deposit refundable when I move out?" These are important practical questions. You might also ask, "How long is the lease? Is parking included? Are there any additional fees? When is rent due each month? What happens if I need to end the lease early?" The expression, "Are there any additional fees?" is useful whenever you want to understand the total cost of something. You can use it with apartments, hotels, services, tickets, memberships, or purchases. Now, imagine you already rent an apartment and notice a mistake in your rent payment. You say, "Hi, I noticed that I was charged an additional fee this month, and I'm not sure what it's for." The manager says, "Let me check your account." You respond, "Thanks. I just wanted to understand the charge before making the payment." Now, let's move into conversations about giving and receiving feedback at work. Imagine your manager says, "Do you have a few minutes to talk about your presentation?" You answer, "Sure." Your manager says, "Overall, you did a good job. The information was clear, but I think the introduction could be shorter. A natural response is, that makes sense. I appreciate the feedback. You can also say, thanks for pointing that out. I'll keep that in mind next time. That's helpful to know. Is there anything else you think I should work on? These responses show that you are listening and open to improvement. Practice. I appreciate the feedback. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll keep that in mind. Is there anything else I should work on? Now, imagine you need to give feedback to someone else. It is often helpful to begin with something positive and then explain what could be improved. You might say, I think the report is really clear overall. One thing I'd suggest is making the summary a little shorter. Or, the presentation looks good. I think the last section could use a little more detail. The phrase, one thing I'd suggest is useful because it makes feedback sound constructive rather than harsh. One thing I'd suggest is adding an example. One thing I'd suggest is checking the final numbers again. One thing I'd suggest is simplifying this section. Now, let's practice a few complete real-life responses. Imagine your restaurant order is wrong. Say, excuse me, I think there may have been a mix-up. I ordered the chicken sandwich, but I received the turkey sandwich. Repeat. Excuse me, I think there may have been a mix-up. I ordered the chicken sandwich, but I received the turkey sandwich. Imagine you lost your wallet in a public building. Say, hi, I think I may have lost my wallet somewhere in the building. Has anyone turned one in? Repeat. Hi, I think I may have lost my wallet somewhere in the building. Has anyone turned one in? Imagine you are unsure whether an email is safe. Say, I received an email asking me to verify my password, but it looks suspicious. I'd like to check before clicking anything. Repeat. I received an email asking me to verify my password, but it looks suspicious. I'd like to check before clicking anything. Imagine you cannot attend a meeting. Say, I'm afraid I won't be able to join the meeting at 3 because I already have another commitment. Could you send me the main notes afterward? Repeat. I'm afraid I won't be able to join the meeting at 3 because I already have another commitment. Could you send me the main notes afterward? Imagine you want to ask about an apartment. Say, could you tell me what's included in the rent and whether there are any additional monthly fees? Repeat. Could you tell me what's included in the rent and whether there are any additional monthly fees? Now, notice what all of these examples have in common. You are not only producing grammatically correct English, you are managing real situations. You are explaining problems politely, checking information, asking for help, requesting changes, protecting yourself when something seems suspicious, and communicating clearly when expectations are not met. This is why intermediate conversation practice should focus on complete situations rather than isolated sentences. If you only memorize vocabulary, you may know the word refund, but you may still struggle when you need to explain why you want one. If you practice the whole situation, you learn phrases like, I'd like to return this. It wasn't what I expected. Would it be possible to get a refund? And, do you need the original receipt? The situation gives the vocabulary meaning. Let's review some of the key expressions we have practiced here. There may have been a mix-up, if that helps. Has anyone turned it in? I'm not sure what the problem is. I wanted to make sure. Would you mind? I'd avoid. Are there any tickets available? I didn't want to take any chances. Would it be possible? I don't have permission. I have a conflict at that time. Are there any additional fees? I appreciate the feedback, and one thing I'd suggest is, say them again and connect each one to a real situation. There may have been a mix-up. Imagine receiving the wrong order. Has anyone turned it in? Imagine losing your phone. I wanted to make sure. Imagine confirming a train platform. Would you mind? Imagine asking someone to take a photo. I didn't want to take any chances. Imagine receiving a suspicious message. I have a conflict at that time. Imagine declining a meeting. I appreciate the feedback. Imagine talking to your manager. This kind of practice trains your brain to connect language with action. The next time you experience a similar situation, you will not need to invent every sentence from the beginning. You will already have useful language ready to use. Keep speaking aloud as much as possible. Listen to the complete thought, pause, repeat it naturally, and then imagine changing one detail. If the sentence is, I think there may have been a mix-up with my order, change it to, I think there may have been a mix-up with my reservation. Then try, I think there may have been a mix-up with the schedule. This is how one useful pattern can become many different sentences. Try the same technique with, I wanted to make sure. Say, I wanted to make sure the meeting is still at 3. I wanted to make sure you received the file. I wanted to make sure this is the right platform. I wanted to make sure my reservation was confirmed. When you practice this way, you are doing more than repeating. You are learning how to adapt English to your own life, and that is one of the most important steps towards speaking with confidence and flexibility. Now, let's bring everything together with more natural conversation practice that combines the skills you have been developing throughout this lesson. In real life, conversations rarely stay inside one simple category. You may start by talking about work, then move to weekend plans, explain a problem, give an opinion, ask for advice, and make a decision, all in the same conversation. This is why flexible speaking practice is so important. Imagine a coworker asks, do you have any plans after work today? You could say, nothing definite yet. I was thinking about stopping by the grocery store. But a friend asked if I wanted to grab dinner. Your coworker says, that sounds nice. Are you going to go? You answer, probably. I've had a long week, and it might be nice to get out for a while. Notice how this answer includes uncertainty, a reason, and a natural expression. It might be nice to get out for a while. You can use I was thinking about when you are considering a plan but have not completely decided. I was thinking about going for a walk later. I was thinking about calling my sister tonight. I was thinking about trying that new restaurant. I was thinking about taking Friday off. This phrase sounds natural because everyday plans are often not completely certain. Repeat, I was thinking about going out for dinner. Nothing definite yet. It might be nice to get out for a while. I'll probably decide later. Now, imagine someone asks, how did your meeting go this morning? A natural answer could be, it went better than I expected. We had a few things to work through, but everyone agreed on the main plan in the end. The phrase work through something means to discuss or solve something step by step. You can say, we still have a few issues to work through. We worked through the problem together. It took a while, but we eventually worked through it. Your friend might ask, was everyone on the same page? This is a very common expression. To be on the same page means to have the same understanding or agree about what should happen. You could say, mostly, we disagreed about the timeline at first, but we eventually got on the same page. Practice. We still have a few things to work through. I think we're on the same page now. We disagreed at first. In the end, we found a solution that worked for everyone. Now, let's imagine another common situation. Changing your mind, someone asks. Are you still thinking about buying that new phone? You could answer, actually, I changed my mind. I looked at a few different models, and I realized my current phone still works perfectly well. Your friend says, that probably makes sense. You can always upgrade later. You respond, exactly. I'd rather save the money for now. Change my mind, is an extremely common expression. I was going to order pizza, but I changed my mind. She was planning to drive, but she changed her mind and took the train. If you change your mind, just let me know. You can also say, I'm having second thoughts. This means you are beginning to question a decision you were planning to make. For example, I was going to sign up for the class, but I'm having second thoughts. I'm having second thoughts. About moving. I was sure yesterday, but now, I'm having second thoughts. Repeat, actually, I changed my mind. I'm having second thoughts. I'd rather wait a little longer. I can always do it later. Now, let's practice explaining that you misunderstood something. Imagine a friend says, I thought you were meeting us at the restaurant at 6. You respond, Oh, I must have misunderstood. I thought you said 7. Your friend says, No worries, we're still here. You say, I'm sorry about that. I'll leave now and get there as quickly as I can. The phrase, I must have misunderstood, is useful when you realize that your understanding was incorrect. You might say, I must have misunderstood the instructions. Sorry, I must have misunderstood what you meant. I thought the appointment was tomorrow. I must have misunderstood. You can also say, I got the wrong idea. For example, I thought the event was canceled, but apparently I got the wrong idea. This is more conversational and informal. Practice. I must have misunderstood. I thought you said 7. Sorry about the confusion. I'll get there as quickly as I can. Now, let's move into talking about choices and priorities. Imagine someone asks, Why did you decide to work from home today? You might answer, I had a lot to finish, and I knew I'd be able to focus better at home. Plus, I didn't have any in-person meetings. Notice the word plus. In casual conversation, plus can introduce an additional reason. The hotel is cheaper, plus it's closer to downtown. I decided to walk. The weather was nice, plus I needed some exercise. Another useful expression is, the main reason is. For example, the main reason I chose this apartment is the location. The main reason I'm taking the course is to improve my speaking. The main reason we left early was to avoid traffic. Repeat. The main reason is the location. Plus, it's more convenient. That was one of the reasons I chose it. For me, convenience is the most important thing. Now, imagine someone asks whether you like cooking at home or eating out. You could say, I enjoy both, but during the week, I usually cook at home. It saves money, and I have more control over what I eat. On weekends, though, I like trying new restaurants. This is a strong intermediate response because you compare two choices, give reasons, and explain when each preference applies. Now, let's practice another realistic situation involving a decision between two options. Your friend asks, should we drive or take the train? You say, I'd probably take the train. Parking downtown can be expensive, and we won't have to worry about traffic. Your friend says, good point. It might actually be faster too. You answer, exactly. Let's take the train. The expression, good point, means that the other person has said something useful or convincing. You can use it in casual or professional conversations. We should call before we go because they might be closed. Good point. Maybe we should bring an umbrella. Good point. It looks like it might rain. Now, let's do a fluency exercise with useful response patterns. Listen to each situation and repeat the natural response. Someone asks if you are available tonight, but you are not completely sure. I might be. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Repeat. I might be. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Someone asks why you returned a product. It worked fine, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. Repeat. It worked fine, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. Someone asks why you missed the beginning of a meeting. I'm sorry. I got held up in traffic and arrived later than I expected. Repeat. I'm sorry. I got held up in traffic and arrived later than I expected. To get held up means to be delayed. You can say, I got held up at work. Sorry I'm late. I got held up in traffic. She got held up at the airport. This phrase appears often when explaining delays. Now, imagine someone asks if you have finished a task. Not quite. I'm almost done, but I want to double-check everything before I send it. Repeat. Not quite. I'm almost done, but I want to double-check everything before I send it. Double-check means check something again to make sure it is correct. Let me double-check the address. I want to double-check the time. Could you double-check the total? This is useful at work, while traveling, when making appointments. And in many everyday situations, imagine a friend asks whether you recommend a restaurant. Yeah, I'd recommend it. The food was excellent, the service was friendly, and the prices were reasonable. Repeat. Yeah, I'd recommend it. The food was excellent, the service was friendly, and the prices were reasonable. Now, imagine that you are not completely satisfied. It was okay, but I probably wouldn't go out of my way to eat there again. The expression go out of my way means make a special effort to do something. I wouldn't go out of my way to visit that store. She went out of her way to help me. Notice that the meaning can be positive or negative, depending on the sentence. Now, let's practice expressing uncertainty naturally. Intermediate speakers do not always need to sound 100% certain. You can say, as far as I know, when you believe something is true but are not completely certain. As far as I know, the meeting is still at 3. As far as I know, the store is open until 9. As far as I know, we don't need an appointment. You can also say, I'm pretty sure. For example, I'm pretty sure I left my keys on the kitchen counter. I'm pretty sure the train leaves from platform 5. I'm pretty sure we've met before. Practice. As far as I know, nothing has changed. I'm pretty sure that's the right address. I could be wrong, though. Let me double-check. That final sentence is especially powerful because it shows responsible communication. If you are uncertain, you do not need to guess. You can say, I'm not completely sure. Let me double-check. This works in professional conversations, travel situations, appointments, shopping, and daily life. Now, let's practice a longer natural response. Imagine someone asks, how are things going lately? You could say, pretty well overall. Work has been busy, but I'm finally getting caught up. I've also been trying to make more time for exercise and seeing friends. I still have a lot going on, but things feel more manageable than they did a few weeks ago. Repeat this in smaller groups. Pretty well overall. Work has been busy, but I'm finally getting caught up. I've been trying to make more time for exercise and seeing friends. I still have a lot going on, but things feel more manageable. Now, listen to another response. Someone asks, what are you doing this weekend? You say, I haven't made any definite plans yet. I need to run a few errands Saturday morning, and after that, I might meet some friends for lunch. If the weather is nice, I'd also like to spend some time outside. Notice how many useful patterns appear together. I haven't made any definite plans yet. I need to run a few errands. I might meet some friends. If the weather is nice. These are everyday structures that allow you to speak naturally without needing advanced vocabulary. Let's do one final flexibility exercise. Start with the sentence, I'm not sure yet. Now, extend it. I'm not sure yet, let me check. Extend it again. I'm not sure yet, let me check my schedule. And again, I'm not sure yet, let me check my schedule. And get back to you later today. Start with, there's a problem. Make it more natural. There seems to be a problem. Add detail. There seems to be a problem with my reservation. Add a request. There seems to be a problem with my reservation. Would you mind checking it for me? Start with, I'm late. Make it more natural. I'm running a little late. Add a reason. I'm running a little late because traffic is worse than usual. Add useful information. I'm running about 10 minutes late because traffic is worse than usual. But I'm on my way. This is one of the best ways to develop intermediate fluency. Begin with a simple idea and gradually make it more complete. You do not need to create extremely long sentences. You simply add useful information step by step. Let's finish this practice by repeating some of the strongest conversation patterns from everything you have practiced. How's your day going? What have you been up to lately? What did you have in mind? That works for me. Something came up. I didn't quite catch that. Let me check and get back to you. I'm running a little late. Could you take a look at this? I see your point. That makes sense. I'm looking for, could I get, do you have anything available? I'm trying to find. There seems to be a problem. I wanted to make sure. Would you mind? I'd rather. It might be worth checking. I ended up, at least, so far so good. I appreciate the feedback. I must have misunderstood. I was thinking about, we still have a few things to work through. I think we're on the same page. I changed my mind. The main reason is, good point. Let me double check. As far as I know, and I'm pretty sure. Now, try saying some of these expressions without reading them word by word. Imagine real situations as you speak. Imagine a friend asking about your weekend, a coworker asking for an update, a server taking your order, a customer service representative asking what went wrong, someone inviting you to dinner, a doctor asking about your symptoms, a stranger giving you directions, or a manager giving you feedback. The goal is for your response to feel connected to the situation. When you hear an invitation, think, that sounds good. Count me in. I'd love to, but I already have plans. When you hear a problem, think, let me take a look. I'm still having the same issue. Would you mind checking? When you are uncertain, think, I'm not completely sure. As far as I know, let me double check. When someone shares an experience, think, that sounds great. That must have been stressful. How did it go? Keep practicing these patterns until they begin to come automatically. Fluency grows when you stop building every sentence from zero and start recognizing familiar situations. Familiar intentions and familiar language patterns. You already have many of those patterns available now. Continue listening carefully. Repeat complete sentences. Change small details. Create your own examples, and use these expressions whenever you have the opportunity to speak English in everyday life. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of today's English Conversation Practice Masterclass. I hope this lesson helped you feel more comfortable with the kind of English you hear and use in real everyday situations. Remember, becoming fluent does not happen by memorizing hundreds of difficult words at once. It happens when you practice useful sentences again and again, when you listen carefully, when you repeat natural expressions, and when you train yourself to respond without translating every single word in your mind. If some of today's conversations felt difficult, that is completely normal. Come back to this lesson again. Listen to the examples one more time. Pause when necessary. Repeat the sentences aloud, and try to use the same expressions in your own examples. Each time you practice, your listening will become sharper, your speaking will become smoother, and your confidence will continue to grow. Before you leave, write one useful English expression from today's lesson in the comments and create your own sentence with it. This simple practice will help you remember what you learned and start using English more actively. And if you enjoyed today's lesson, Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon and share this video with anyone who is also working on improving their English. We bring you useful English learning lessons to help you improve your speaking, listening, vocabulary, pronunciation, and everyday communication skills, step by step. Keep listening, keep speaking, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep using English every day. Even a few minutes of focused practice can make a real difference when you stay consistent. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I'm Emma, and I'll see you in the next English lesson. Until then, keep practicing, keep improving, and have a wonderful day.